Welcome to Wager Talk TV. I am Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas, joined by Brian Leonard at B Leonard Sports on Twitter, and Adam Burke at Skating Tripods. Who said you had the best Twitter? Corey Kluber said you have the best Twitter name.
That was the height of my celebrity until today.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely incredible. All right, guys, we're gonna start off. So full disclosure, we did a couple of videos a couple of weeks ago in regards to MLB betting with Tony Finn and Brian Leonard. If you guys are new to MLB betting, go over to our YouTube page. Check that video out first. It's going to be more of an advanced video. We're going to get into all of these crazy things that I don't understand regarding sabermetrics. Adam, I'll let you start, and then I'll let kind of Brian piggyback off what you're saying. So talk to me about what you're looking at when you're betting baseball.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff with sabermetrics, and I do a twice-a-week podcast during the season called The Bettor's Box at bangthebook.com. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, so on. But I use a lot of analytics in my handicapping here, and there are some pretty easy-to-understand ways to actually get out in front of the market because, you know, obviously we're betting numbers and not teams, so you want to get the best prices that you possibly can. Well, you can go over to Fangraphs, and you can search a player's name. Let's say Corey Kluber, for example. You know,
I'm going to stop you right there just because I do want to help people. What is Fangraphs?
So Fangraphs is my favorite baseball website. I don't know if it's yours, but it's a site that keeps a lot of advanced statistics.
Kind of like Ken Palm, but for baseball.
Right. Yeah. More or less. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you can look up, you know, pitchers, and you can see. Everyone knows what ERA is. If you're a baseball fan, you know what ERA is. But there are some advanced metrics called FIP and xFIP. FIP is fielding independent pitching, which supposedly takes the luck factors out of the equation of ERA, because once a ball gets put in play, it's either fielded or it's not. The pitcher has no control from that point forward. So FIP uses the things a pitcher can control: strikeouts, walks, hit by pitches, and home runs. So that's why it's a better barometer of a pitcher's true talent level than ERA, because ERA is dependent on what happens when the ball is in play. So a lot of times we'll see line moves on or against pitchers that have big gaps between their ERAs and their FIPs, or another metric called xFIP, which, you know, people can read up on that if they want to. But it's a good way to get out in front of the market because that's a starting pitcher that's expected to be in line for either positive or negative regression.
Basically, we're just saying that something like a batting average or an ERA, while 40, 50 years ago they were very important and people thought they were important, every season there comes up with new analytics which tell you that maybe those aren't as important as what a lot of people would look at. I know that there's people that follow baseball, but they don't follow it a lot, and they'll take a look at the teams or the pitcher's win-loss record, which really means nothing. Or they'll take a look at their ERA and say, well, this guy's got a 3-run ERA, the other guy's got a 6-run ERA. I'm betting the 3, and they don't realize,
they're laying a big price with that guy as well.
They don't take it the next step and realize what goes behind the 3-run ERA as opposed to the 6-run ERA.
Very good
point.
And
another metric that's really easy, it's called LOB percentage, which is left on base percentage. League average last year for starting pitchers was 72.6%. So we'll also see a lot of line moves. If there's a starter that has a 66.5% left on base percentage, the line's going to move in his direction. If he has an 80% left on base percentage, the line will move against him. Again, just expecting regression to the mean, luck to run out, luck to improve, stuff like that.
There are certain pitchers, though, that when you look at the advanced stats, they seem to have an advantage over them, and those are the ones that most of the guys in our community have lost on over the last few years. So you got to look back and see from prior years if the advanced stats work for this guy or if they don't.
Very interesting point by Brian. Okay, Adam, and bullpen usage is your last thing that you really look into, and the bullpen is the most infuriating thing to me. When I have bet baseball, listen, I'm still new to handicapping baseball, but you feel like you handicap a game right, and they bring up some guy that I've never heard of, you probably have because you follow the minor leagues, and he gives up a 7-run bottom of the 8th, and you're going, I might as well just set this ticket on fire.
Right. Yeah, and it's one of those things, too, where the bullpen has increased importance now. I mean, starting pitcher innings have gone down. Last year was the lowest since 2017. Prior to that, it was 1996. So starting pitchers have a lot less importance in the full game bet. You can still bet first fives, obviously. But, you know, from a bullpen usage standpoint, you want to know who's available. You know, like Josh Hader, for example, for the Milwaukee Brewers, I think he's the best left-handed reliever in baseball. He only worked back-to-back days 5 times last season. 3 of them were in August when they were, you know, trying to position themselves for the playoffs. So if he pitches early in the year, he's probably not available the next day. and he's their best reliever, that's a significant loss for them. So understanding who's available, who's rested in the bullpen, if you're going to make full game plays, you absolutely have to do it nowadays.
Yeah, everybody wants to know what their role is. And there's so much movement in the offseason now because, as he pointed out, the relief pitchers are so important now. The teams change relief pitchers all the time. We're both from Cleveland. We know the Indians. Half of their guys in the bullpen are gone for this year. Their closer and their best reliever
What
after
is it
that.
about guys from Cleveland? You throw Ralph in there, too.
Lots of gambling
You guys are
in
a
that
bunch of
area of the
degenerates.
We are degenerates,
I like
yeah.
it. I like it. All right. Adam, 3 general betting tips that you have for our viewers out there.
Now, I talked in the win totals video about teams utilizing their home advantages. And the Detroit Tigers are one. And, you know, it's very difficult to bet on a bad team like the Tigers. I mean, Brian, you've been in this business a long time. You know how infuriating it is to bet on bad teams. But a lot of times those are the teams that have value. So Detroit is awful on the road, absolutely horrible on the road. But they're very good at home because they've got a very big outfield. It's a spacious outfield. And they've got pitchers that are tailored to that type of environment. So last year they were about a 500 team at home. And they were much, much worse on the road. But because they're bad overall, a lot of times you can get value on a team like that that has a big home field advantage because it's usually not priced into the line. So they're a team like that. Toronto is another team that they make a lot of hard contact. They've got a very good park for fly balls and line drives. So when they face a fly ball pitcher or a guy that gives up a lot of home runs, we can probably back them or take overs with them. And then one more here, the Atlanta Braves. Looks like they were good offensively at home last year, but they actually weren't that good. They scored a lot of runs against the Phillies and the Marlins at home, who are 2 bad pitching staffs. And in all of their other games, they had 4.23 runs scored per game. So probably some inflated totals there when they're facing teams that have better pitching.
Brian,
Going back to his first point when he talked about home teams and all, the National League West is basically a bunch of teams that can take the fly balls at home because of the weather out there coming in off the lakes or the ocean and all. But when those teams go on the road, you see a big discrepancy, especially like for a team like San Diego. The pitchers may look really good in San Diego, then they go on the road and they got to play in Chicago or they got to face really good hitting teams. They struggle on the road. For the most part, that's that whole division. So if you're looking at divisional games playing in that area, I like to play the unders in that area. But when they go off on the road, I think there's a value on that. The Padres, they've talked about the last couple of years, the Padres offense hasn't done very well at home, but when they go on the road, they're a good hitting team.
All right, good stuff. Adam, I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, I mean, the Marlins are another team where at home, I mean, they're very competitive. And on the road, their pitchers get their brains beaten in. So it is an angle that you want to consider. Sometimes it's priced into the line accurately. Sometimes it's not. But again, trying to look for value on the bad teams because just about every team's going to win 60 games. Every team's going to lose 60 games. So you look to find those spots where even the good teams lose or even the bad teams win.
Awesome. If you guys are looking for more information, you should check out Adam's 2019 betting season preview. Comprehensive look at the upcoming MLB season with win total previews for all 30 teams, division, pennant, and World Series futures can be found on the link below at Amazon.